This chair is for your father-in-law. Stand up, Dad. Ethan said so, his hand gently jerking the chair like a waiter, and the respect card I had just placed was pushed off the plate. I paused, looked at him, but did not respond. When the light outside the window stopped blinking, I called, asking my subordinates to adjust the position. The unworthy person will need to be taught a lesson. At that moment, I understood. My son needed to know what respect was, and he would have to see what he did not want tomorrow. If it were you, what would you do when your own child turned you into a prop right at the family dinner table? Before we get into the details, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening in the comments. I set the gift box on the little wooden table by the door and took a long breath before walking into the dining room. December in Denver was crisp enough to sting. My breath fogged white against the window pane. I'd brought a bottle of Pinot Noir, a small envelope, and a place card I'd handwritten. 2 simple words on it, respect card. I centered it on the plate at the head of the table, the seat I'd taken since Beverly passed. From there, the window framed a row of pines, their fairy lights winking on and off. Ethan came out from the kitchen, gave my shoulder a quick hug, then pivoted like he just remembered something important. He pulled out a chair for the man walking in and said, voice bright in a way it usually wasn't, "Dad, this is Gerald, Lydia's father." I offered my hand. Gerald's shake was steady and cool, firm without being cold. Lydia straightened the table runner while the kids chased the scent of turkey and pumpkin pie, their sneakers clicking on the hardwood like candy. I bent to pick up the envelope I'd prepared for Ethan, open after dinner, and slid it quietly under my chair. "Let's sit," Lydia said, setting down the last plate. I pulled out my chair. Ethan leaned in, slipped a hand under the chair cover, and yanked. The chair skidded half a foot. I caught myself against the table. Gerald moved fast, a hand on my shoulder to steady me. Ethan forced a smile, but his eyes were hard. "This seat is for my father-in-law," he said. "I think I should show some respect." He hit the word respect like he'd memorized it off a poster. I said nothing. I picked up the respect card, set it down in the empty space before me, pushed my chair to the end of the table, and sat there. For a while, the clink of cutlery fell out of rhythm. The kids watched me with wide, bright eyes. I winked to let them know I was fine. No one wanted to curdle the gravy that had just been poured. I ate slower than usual. Lydia spooned an extra helping of mashed potatoes onto my plate, generous, as if to make up for that awkward moment. Gerald didn't say much. He listened, calm eyes traveling from face to face. Ethan talked about a new project, about opportunity, about relationship networks, skating past every gaze that might catch. When dessert came out, I said one thing: I'm going to step out on the porch for some air, and grab my coat. No one stopped me. The door closed as softly as a sigh. Night wind moved through the pines carrying sap and damp. I dialed Carter. He answered on the second ring. "Merry Christmas, Thomas. I'm guessing this isn't purely festive." "I want to schedule a board audit for the 27th, I said, slow and even. "Prepare a revocation of power of attorney, effective at 12:01 a.m. tomorrow. I also need a conflict of interest review for Ethan." "Neutral site or the office?" Carter asked. "Rent a conference room at Frontier Bank," I said. "I'm not turning the company into a stage. And send the notices by the book. No public shaming." "Got it," Carter said. "Invites go out tonight." I texted Megan. "Put Ethan into conflict of interest review. Revoke his warehouse badge tonight. Confirm when done." The read receipt popped up almost instantly. I knew Megan was on the system. Before I went back inside, I set the "For Ethan after dinner" envelope on the console by the flowers. Inside were 3 lines in my hand. "Respect isn't a chair. Connections don't replace conduct. Conduct has consequences." I didn't sign it. Ethan knew my handwriting. When I sat back down, the talk had shifted to downtown lights and weekend ski runs. I finished my slice of pumpkin pie, drank a glass of water, and said, "I'm heading out early. Got something in the morning." The kids hugged me tight, shampoo fresh. Ethan stood there fumbling with a shirt button, then undoing it. I made no comment. No need. The porch light dimmed as the door clicked shut. At 6 the next morning, Aurora was still fogged with frost, the road salted white. Steam rose from manhole covers on the way to the coal storage depot. Ethan tapped his badge at the gate. The screen flashed red. Access revoked. Conflict of interest review. The shift lead stepped up, voice steady, clearly briefed. I'll need you to sign the temporary suspension of access to shipment data. You can be in the auxiliary area with supervision. He nudged over a ballpoint pen. The chain by the gate rattled lightly in the wind. Ethan called Gerald, the ring echoing thin in the cold air. I didn't hear that call, but at noon Gerald stopped by my office, set his wool cap on the desk, and said one sentence. I'll handle my side of the family. My son-in-law doesn't need defending, he needs fixing. I nodded, poured him hot tea, and we looked out the window for a while. On the 27th, snow dusted the steps like flour. The rented Frontier bank room looked over a slice of the city, thick glass, wood table, a stainless steel water carafe. Carter opened the board audit right on time. Ethan was 2 minutes late, hood up, cologne still hanging in the air. None of my grandkids were there. They were at their grandparents' house. I pictured Lydia zipping a dress for our granddaughter, tying our grandson's laces, and felt a small warmth. We'll start with the conflict of interest review, Carter said, sliding a folder. Megan rose, flipped open her laptop, her badge tapping the table. 2 parts, she said. First, a proposed switch of temperature sensor vendors in aisle C. Ethan recommended a new vendor owned by a relative on his wife's side. Their quoted price is 18% higher than market in the prior bid, creating a budget shortfall last quarter. Second, because of that shortfall, Ethan approved delaying the scheduled maintenance on those sensors, which introduced controllable risk to product integrity if temperatures drifted. This is a linked decision chain. Carter turned to Ethan. Anything to add? Ethan swallowed. I wanted to leverage relationships. I thought, Megan without edge said, relationships don't optimize safety. Safety is optimized by on-time maintenance. The room went quiet. I looked out through the glass. The sky was a smooth gray. I spoke for the first time. Our work is keeping food cold for other people to eat. Kids eat it. A company's history is built on decisions made on time, not on feelings. Carter read the resolution. The board suspends Ethan Reed's management role. He is reassigned to a 180-day rotation as a night shift warehouse operator at the Aurora Depot. 60% of management stipends are withheld during this rotation. Performance will be measured by safety, spoilage rate, shift discipline, and collaboration quality. He set down his pen. Any objections? No one spoke. I signed. Ethan studied his shoes and didn't contest. I thought of the chair from that night and understood a chair is wood and fabric. The place you stand is something you build with your own hands. That afternoon, I wrote an email to both sides of the family. Subject line, on conduct and consequences. 3 short paragraphs, not a spare adjective. Ethan behaved improperly toward a family member at dinner. As a consequence, he has been reassigned to a warehouse operator role for 180 days under a board resolution. Any lobbying, request for leniency, or pressure will not be considered. I CC'd Gerald. 5 minutes later, he replied, I'll tell my side not to wreck the lesson my son needs to learn. Lydia texted me privately. I'm taking the kids to my parents for a month so they can settle and keep their school schedule steady. Tell me when you want to FaceTime them. I wrote back, thank you. Do what you believe is right for them. 2 days later, Community Food Bank held a delivery handoff for the city soup kitchens. We've covered cold chain logistics through winter storms for years now. I stood at the front of a small hall, mic a little scratchy, coat draped over a chair. At work and at home, I said slow, roles are earned by conduct, not by connections, not by last names. Today, the cold room keys go to the person directly responsible on the floor. Safety is our first priority. I didn't say Ethan's name. The new supervisor stepped up and took the cold room keys from the handoff lead. The look they shared was purely professional. A local reporter snapped a photo. The shutter clicked like a sheet of ice breaking. Ethan's first night of rotation began with a simple handoff sheet: thermometer, logbook, flashlight, gloves, a cold-rated marker. The night shift has its own rhythm: forklifts humming low, dock doors opening and thudding shut, condensation dripping on rubber matting. I wasn't there, but I've lived that rhythm my whole life. I could hear it in my head. Each week, my inbox got a one-page PDF from Ethan. No pleading in the subject line, no emotional overture. What I learned, what I got wrong, how I fixed it. Week 1, mistagged pallet location in aisle A due to thick gloves, adjusted handwriting protocol, switched to a finer cold-rated marker. Week 2, forgot to wipe the sensor face at the side dock, false alarm, created a new start of shift checklist. No, I'm sorry. No, Dad, please. HR replied the same line every week. Report received. Performance assessed by data. I read every one and said nothing back. I printed them, folded them, and slid them into color folders by month. On each spine, I wrote rotation Jan, then rotation Feb, then rotation Mar. I stacked them on the shelf in order, the way I keep lines straight at home. Cutlery, bills, Beverly's old photos. It wasn't about punishment. It was about the order I trust. One evening I met Gerald at a cafe by the river. The place was quiet. The grinder sounded like wind. He pushed his cup toward me. "Here's what I told the kids," he said. "Grandpa's fixing the house. Your dad's fixing himself. When they asked if we'd all eat together once the fixing's done, I told them it depends which nails are still rusty." I nodded and smiled. "Thank you," I said. That kind of answer keeps a child's heart steady. Week 4, Ethan wrote, 2 to 6 a.m. shift. Noticed a 1.8 degree variance in aisle C. Check sensor. False reading from condensation. Dried face. Replace seal. Monitored 2 hours. Back in spec. Week 12. Pallet of milk slid off the low rack. Chocked with rubber wedges. Called for help. No injuries. Spoilage 0. 2 dented cases sent for inspection. Those plain lines put another 1.5 years on me in the best way. No flourishes, no excuses. I was glad he was learning to lay bricks in a straight line. I FaceTimed the kids on Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings. They told me about science homework, the school basketball team, how the leftover Christmas cookies got boxed. I didn't talk about Ethan. They didn't talk about me to him. Gerald kept that rhythm for them. He didn't ask me to soften, and he didn't let anyone make the kids pick sides. I was grateful. After 180 days, the discipline review met at the office. Small hail ticked the windows like a metronome. The supervisor went first. He pulled a chart on screen, columns tightening together. In 180 days, Ethan had 0 safety violations. Twice he cleared false sensor alarms and saved 2 loads from unnecessary teardown. Once he coordinated with maintenance correctly, no overstepping, no late reports. He rested a hand on the table and looked to Carter. Carter nodded, then asked Ethan plainly, "Why did you disrespect your father in front of your family on December 24th? And why did you line up a relative's vendor at an inflated price, which led to delaying temperature sensor maintenance?" Ethan didn't look at me. "I wanted to impress my father-in-law," he said, voice low. "I chose appearances over respect. With the vendor, I chose family benefit over the product safety our company promises. I was wrong." "And what do you want now?" Carter asked. Ethan let out a breath, still not looking my way. "I want to keep working the night shift until I'm good enough that no one needs to watch me. If there's a technician track, I'll study for it. I'm not asking for a title. I want to do my job right." Megan scanned the metrics and kept her thoughts to herself. She jotted a line, then looked up. Carter read the resolution. No return to management. A technician track is open to Ethan Reed if he maintains these metrics for the next 6 months. All interactions between Ethan and Mr. Thomas Reed will occur through formal work channels and systems, not personally, he asked. Any objections? No one spoke. Outside, the hail thinned. We adjourned. I squared the papers, clipped them, set the folders corner flush. My phone buzzed. Gerald texted, "The kids understand that behavior has consequences. They asked when we'll all have dinner. I told them the adults need to keep their word and do their part. Then we'll see." I replied, "Thank you for not lobbying on his behalf." He wrote back, "Lobbying bends the lesson." That afternoon, Carter drafted a 3-line memo, routed it through the system, CC'd me, Ethan, and HR. 1. Acknowledge Ethan's effort during the 180-day rotation. 2. All interactions with Mr. Thomas Reed are through official work channels only. 3. No joint family dinners for 6 months. Status to be reviewed based on data and periodic evaluations. I read it, signed, and shut my laptop. Sometimes 3 lines are enough. That night I took the respect card from my desk and set it on the kitchen counter, propped against the salt jar. Cheap paper, pencil-ruled lines, my slanted hand. I looked at it like a small mirror. The head chair is wood and fabric. A place in another person's heart isn't assigned by a name card, and certainly not by a declaration. It's made in the smallest moments, a sentence, a gesture, a yanked chair cover. Sunday morning, I walked along the canal. Coffee drifted from the little cafes. One of our trucks rolled past with, "Keep it cold, keep it honest," on the box. I smiled. Maybe I'll swap the motto in the conference room frame for that line. It's short, straight, and everyone who reads it knows what to do. The next week, my inbox had another report from Ethan. Still 1 page, still 3 sections, fewer flourishes, more numbers. At the bottom, he'd added a line. "I've learned to reset the chairs at the end of each shift, so the next person never has to adjust. No, please, no, Dad." I folded it, filed it in rotation, Joule, and marked a tiny dot on the spine to note the milestone. I slid it onto the shelf, aligned, the way I've put my house back in order since Beverly died. Photos, mugs, towels, the old notebook with her unfinished list. At 63, I've learned quiet doesn't come from outside. It comes from doing the right thing, at the right time, the right way. That evening, Lydia sent a photo. 2 kids doing homework. On the table were boxes, a chair, some arrows sketched in. "They asked me when we'll all eat together," she wrote. I replied, "When the adults keep their word and do their part. Tell them Grandpa is always ready to stay quiet so others can be heard, and to speak once when respect needs protecting." Lydia sent a heart emoji. Gerald added, "I'm taking the kids to the park next week. If you want to come as their grandpa, not as the board chair." I read slowly, thought slowly, and typed 1 word, "Deal." Late that night, I cracked a kitchen window and let the cold spill in. The pendant light pooled on the stainless counter. The respect card rested in its glow. I touched the edge of the card like touching a promise that doesn't need saying. Do it by the process, not by the noise. I don't know if we'll sit down to dinner together 6 months from now. I do know I won't cut the path short out of pity, and I won't drag it out with stubbornness. Some chairs aren't ours today. That's fine. When behavior is steady enough, a seat finds the right person. And if one day Ethan really is that steady, I believe the chair in my son's heart will land where it should, behind his conduct, ahead of his words, and right beside his responsibility. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts on this story in the comments. Each of your likes, shares, and subscriptions is a great motivation for me to continue writing the next stories. Thank you for listening, goodbye, and see you again.